Amazon knows what you're going to buy before you do. Not metaphorically, literally. Its algorithms are tracking your clicks, your pauses, your late night scrolling, and using all of it to predict your next purchase, sometimes before the thought has even fully formed in your head. And that prediction engine isn't a side feature. It's one of the biggest reasons Amazon made over $716 billion in net sales last year, with a net profit north of $77 billion. Today we're breaking down how Amazon actually makes its money and why the real engine behind the empire isn't the warehouse, it's the data. Here's the thing most people get wrong about Amazon. They think of it as a giant online store. Buy a product, it ships to your door, Amazon takes a cut. Simple, right? Except that's not where the real profit comes from. In 2025, Amazon's online store sales, the actual products you click buy on, brought in about $269 billion. Huge number. But here's the twist. That segment runs on razor-thin margins, the same way a traditional retailer does. Shipping costs, warehousing, returns, labor, it all eats into the profit fast. So if that's not where the real money is, where is it? Two places: advertising and predictive infrastructure, and they're more connected than you think. Let's start with advertising. In 2025, Amazon's ad business pulled in over $68 billion, up more than 20% from the year before. That's more advertising revenue than PayPal and eBay combined. Think about that for a second. Amazon isn't just a store, it's quietly become one of the biggest ad platforms on Earth, sitting right next to Google and Meta. But here's what makes Amazon's ad business different from a normal ad platform. When you search running shoes on Google, Google is guessing what you might want based on a search term. And when you search running shoes on Amazon, Amazon already knows what you bought last time, what you almost bought, what price range you hesitated at, and what brand you clicked on 3 times but never purchased. That's not advertising, that's advertising with a memory. Every scroll, every add to cart, every abandoned checkout, it all feeds into a prediction model. And that model doesn't just recommend products to you, it sells that predictive power to brands who pay Amazon a premium to place their product directly in front of the exact customer who's most likely to buy it. That's why Amazon's ad margins are dramatically higher than its retail margins. You're not paying for a product, you're paying for certainty. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, because this predictive system doesn't run in isolation. It runs on top of something most people never think about when they picture Amazon: Amazon Web Services, or AWS. AWS is Amazon's cloud computing arm, the invisible infrastructure that powers a huge chunk of the internet. Netflix runs on it, Airbnb runs on it, even some of Amazon's direct competitors run on it. In 2025, AWS generated about $128.7 billion in revenue. That's only around 18% of Amazon's total sales. But here's the number that actually matters. AWS produced roughly 57% of Amazon's entire operating profit. Read that again. A segment responsible for less than a fifth of total revenue is generating more than half the company's profit. Because unlike shipping boxes of paper towels, cloud computing has enormous margins once the infrastructure is built. And this is the part most people miss. AWS isn't just a side business Amazon happens to run. It's the computing backbone that powers Amazon's own prediction engine. The same machine learning systems that guess what you're about to buy are trained, stored, and run on Amazon's own cloud. So the loop looks like this. You shop on Amazon, Amazon's algorithms study your behavior, that data gets processed using AWS's infrastructure, the predictions get sold to advertisers as hyper-targeted placements, and the profits from both AWS and advertising, the two highest margin parts of the business, get reinvested into building even better prediction models. It's not really an online store with a cloud service attached, it's a prediction machine that happens to also sell you paper towels. Before we go further, if breakdowns like this are the kind of thing you enjoy, this is a good moment to hit subscribe, because we're doing one of these every week, and the next one might completely change how you see a company you use daily. Now, let's talk about the third piece of this puzzle: Prime. Amazon Prime isn't really a shipping perk. It's a data collection subscription disguised as a shipping perk.
Amazon now has roughly 240 million Prime members worldwide, about 185 to 200 million of them in the US alone. And subscription revenue, mostly from Prime, brought in nearly $50 billion in 2025. Here's why Prime matters so much beyond that number. A Prime member shops more often, browses longer, and generates far more behavioral data than a regular customer. Free 2-day shipping removes the friction of, should I wait and compare prices elsewhere? That means Prime members buy on impulse more often, and every one of those impulse buys becomes another data point that sharpens Amazon's predictions. Prime Day is the clearest proof of this in action. In 2025, US shoppers spent over $24 billion during Prime Day alone, up more than 30% from the year before. That's not just a sales event, it's a massive, compressed data harvesting exercise where Amazon learns exactly what triggers a purchase across millions of people in real time, then feeds that straight back into its prediction models for the rest of the year. So by now, you can probably see the full picture. Amazon's business isn't really divided into online store, cloud, ads, and Prime as separate businesses. They're 4 gears in the same machine. The online store generates the raw behavioral data, AWS provides the computing power to process and act on that data, the advertising engine monetizes the predictions at a massive margin, and Prime keeps you inside the ecosystem long enough to keep generating more data than any competitor could ever match. That's why Amazon doesn't actually need huge margins on the products in your cart. Those thin margin sales are the bait. The real profit is built on top of the exhaust, the data your shopping habits leave behind, refined into predictions and sold as certainty to the highest bidder. And that's the uncomfortable part of the story. Amazon's most valuable product was never really the stuff in the boxes. It's you. Or more specifically, the pattern of you, the version of you that Amazon's algorithms have built, click by click, purchase by purchase, over years. And that pattern is worth more to Amazon than almost anything sitting on its shelves. So the next time Amazon recommends a product before you've even searched for it, that's not a lucky guess. That's a business model, one that generated tens of billions in pure profit last year, built almost entirely on knowing you better than you know yourself. If this video changed the way you look at Amazon, subscribe to Flint Finance, because next week, we're breaking down a company whose entire empire is built on something even more surprising than data: your attention. You won't look at your phone the same way again.